The galaxy was not ready for what came. Across the stars, countless worlds lived in peace, trading, building, and expanding without fear. For centuries, alien empires had ruled over lesser species, believing no new power could challenge them. They believed they had seen everything the universe could offer. But they were wrong. It began with a message. No sound, no face, no sign of who had sent it. It appeared suddenly, spreading across communication networks like fire through dry grass. The message was short, only a single sentence, but it froze leaders, soldiers, and civilians alike. The words were simple, yet heavy. They received only one warning. We are ready for your arrival. No name, no demand, no explanation, just a warning. At first, the alien rulers laughed. They thought it was a trick, a bluff from some minor world trying to scare them. After all, who would dare warn the galaxy? No one had ever stood against their power and survived. But the laughter faded quickly. The message kept repeating. It reached every outpost, every fleet, every council chamber, and soon, reports began to arrive. Ships traveling near human space had gone silent. Scouts who entered the borders of Earth's territory never returned. Listening stations picked up signals of massive construction, of shipyards burning day and night, producing vessels the size of cities. Satellites showed strange movements in human colonies, civilians being trained, planets becoming fortresses. Something was happening, something bigger than the galaxy had ever faced. The council chambers of the Great Alien Alliance shook with argument. Some leaders demanded action. Destroy them before they rise, they cried. Crush humanity before their warning becomes truth. Others hesitated. Why send such a message if they were not already prepared? They whispered. What if it is not a bluff? Fear spread like a disease. The galaxy had faced wars before, but this felt different. Humanity had not begged, had not threatened, had not even explained. They had only given one warning. On the edge of space, alien admirals watched with unease as human fleets grew larger by the week. It was no longer a rumor. Warships never seen before, sleek, dark, and bristling with weapons, took formation in silence. They did not cross borders. They did not invade. They simply waited, as if daring the galaxy to step forward. Every sensor showed the same truth. Humans were preparing for something, and whatever it was, they were confident enough to announce it to everyone. In the shadows of the galaxy, smaller species prayed they would not be caught in the storm. Merchants carried tales of entire convoys turned away by human patrols. Pilots whispered of black ships that appeared without warning, escorting them out of human space with cold precision. None fired a shot, none spoke a word. Only the silent presence of power. The galaxy began to wonder, why only one warning? Why not send more? Why not explain? That silence made the message even more terrifying. It meant humanity would not repeat themselves. It meant the next move belonged to the rest of the galaxy. Inside the high halls of power, panic grew. Fleets were summoned, weapons prepared, alliances tested. Leaders shouted over one another, desperate to find a way to deal with humanity. Yet no one dared to send a reply. Every possible response felt dangerous. Should they laugh and ignore? Should they threaten back? Should they ask for peace? None of these felt safe. The message had been too confident, too final. Meanwhile, humanity remained silent. Earth sent no diplomats, no traders, no envoys. They only expanded, building more ships, more bases, more defenses. In every corner of human space, factories burned through the night. Citizens worked side by side with soldiers. Children trained as if they already knew war was coming. It was not fear that drove them. It was something colder, something harder. They were preparing calmly without panic, as if they had been waiting for this moment for centuries. The galaxy did not understand. How could a young species be so certain, so ready, when even ancient empires trembled? What secret did humanity carry? What truth lay behind that single warning? The questions spread, but the answers never came. One alien historian wrote in despair, The warning was not for us to hear, it was for us to fear, and fear it we do. His words echoed the thoughts of millions. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the galaxy held its breath. Fleets moved into position. Soldiers trained for war. Spies tried to pierce the veil around human space, but none returned. The unknown became a weapon more dangerous than any cannon. The warning lingered like a shadow, pressing down on every world, every leader, every mind. They received only one warning: we are ready for your arrival. The meaning was clear. Humanity would not explain. They would not negotiate. They would not beg. The galaxy had been warned once, and once was enough. And so the question burned in every heart: who will test them first? The warning still echoed across the stars, but silence followed it. Humanity sent no second message. They did not explain. They did not threaten. They simply waited. And that silence became heavier than any fleet, stronger than any weapon. Galaxy had been forced to move because the warning demanded an answer. Alien fleets began gathering at the borders of human space. Admirals who once laughed at Earth now spoke in quiet voices, studying maps of human colonies with uneasy eyes. They had thought humanity was only one planet, one small corner of the galaxy, nothing more. But the more they looked, the more they discovered the truth. Humanity had spread far wider than anyone realized. Colonies hidden among asteroid belts, cities built into dead moons, starbases disguised as trade hubs. Everywhere spies looked, they found more signs of power. And everywhere they saw preparation. The most arrogant empire, the Valar Dominion, declared publicly that humans were liars. Their leader, High Lord Zith, mocked the warning. "They are dust pretending to be fire," he shouted in the great council. "We will scatter them across the void with a single breath." His words were met with cheers by some, but behind closed doors, even his own advisors whispered doubts. They had seen the reports. They had seen the fleets. Still, Zith ordered his warships forward. Hundreds of battle cruisers and dreadnoughts burned toward human borders, banners bright, weapons armed. The galaxy watched, holding its breath. Would humanity finally respond? Would they cower? Would they negotiate? But humanity did nothing. No fleet moved. No voice answered. The humans only watched. That silence unnerved the galaxy even more. Every empire had expected threats, demands, perhaps desperate pleas. Instead, humanity behaved like a predator watching its prey. Calm, silent, waiting. Small empires caught between giants began to panic. Refugees flooded out of human border systems, carrying rumors of vast shipyards hidden inside hollowed-out asteroids, of weapons powered by black suns, of training grounds where even human children were hardened for war. No one could confirm these stories, but no one could deny them either. Fear made the stories grow larger each day. The Great Council called emergency meetings. Old enemies sat side by side, forced together by fear of one young species. Should they strike first? Should they combine their fleets and crush Earth before it became unstoppable? Some argued yes. If we wait, it will be too late, they said. Others shook their heads. They have already shown us their mind. They want us to come. They are ready. The council split. No agreement was reached. The galaxy trembled in hesitation. Meanwhile, inside human space, preparation continued without pause. Massive ships, larger than anything the galaxy had seen, rolled out of orbiting docks. They were black, silent, their hulls absorbing light like the void itself. These were not ships for defense. They were weapons of judgment. Fleets took formation, but not at the borders. They spread across human colonies, as if guarding their people was more important than showing force. The message was clear. Humans were not afraid of invasion. They were waiting for it. From a distance, alien scouts observed and returned with reports that shook entire empires. Their fleets are disciplined, one report read. They move like a single organism, each ship connected, each captain obeying, a silent rhythm. This is not the chaos of a young race. This is the unity of something ancient. The galaxy began to whisper the unthinkable. Could it be that humanity had been preparing for this moment for centuries? Could it be that the warning was not sudden, but part of a plan stretching back generations? Tension grew with every passing day. Trade routes near Earth collapsed, ships refusing to travel through human sectors. Alien merchants cursed their losses, but refused to risk their lives. Colonists on border worlds watched the skies with fear, waiting for either human fleets or alien invasions to arrive. Everywhere, people whispered the same words. They gave one warning, only one. Then came the first sign of movement. The Valar fleet entered human space. Their cruisers cut across the void, engines blazing, weapons armed. They expected resistance, but no human ships appeared. They expected messages of fear, but none came. The silence continued. High Lord Zith laughed. He broadcasted his voice across the stars. See how they hide? Their words were wind. Their warning was nothing. His soldiers cheered, believing the war was already won. But in the dark beyond their sensors, human ships waited, vast shadows drifting silently through the void. Their engines cold, their weapons hidden, watching, measuring. The galaxy leaned forward, breathless. The Valar had taken the first step. They had answered the warning with fire. Now everyone waited to see what humanity would do. And still, the message lingered in every mind. We are ready for your arrival. Thirkeen, Valar fleet crossed into human space like a storm. Hundreds of ships spread out, forming a wall of firepower that could crush entire planets. Their commanders expected quick victory. For them, this was not a war but a show of strength. They wanted to prove to the galaxy that humanity's warning was nothing but empty words. At first, everything was quiet. Their ships passed through, border systems with no resistance, empty planets, silent space stations, no sign of human patrols. High Lord Zith mocked humanity again in a live broadcast. See? They fear us. They hide in their holes like insects. Their warning was a child's cry in the dark. His words echoed across the galaxy. But behind those words, even his captains began to feel uneasy. Because silence in war is never safe. It began with a shadow. One of the Valar cruisers detected a faint signature, something moving just beyond their sensors. The captain dismissed it at first, calling it a ghost reading. But then another ship reported the same. Then another. Soon across the fleet, nervous voices rose. Something is out there, we are being watched. And then they appeared. From the void, massive black warships emerged. They made no announcement, no sound, no threat. They simply drifted into position, blocking the path of the Valar fleet. Their hulls were unlike anything seen before. Smooth, dark, and glowing faintly with strange energy lines. Weapons bristled across their frames. Weapons no alien sensors could even identify. The Valar paused. For the first time they realized humanity had been waiting. A single human transmission cut through the silence. Calm. Steady. Cold. This is your arrival, and we are ready. Those words shattered every illusion. The Valar fired first, desperate, to show dominance. Thousands of energy bolts tore through the void, but when the blast reached human ships, they bent, flickered, and vanished into shimmering shields. Human vessels did not flinch. They answered with fire of their own. It was not fire as the galaxy knew it. Human weapons tore through Valar ships with surgical precision. No wasted shots, no chaos. Every beam struck exactly where it would cripple engines, silence weapons, or break formations. The Valar fleet began to collapse within minutes. Captains screamed for reinforcements, but none could answer. Human ships moved as one, weaving through the battlefield like predators circling prey. Smaller human destroyers darted into gaps, tearing apart cruisers twice their size. Massive dreadnoughts unleashed blasts that cracked enemy shields like glass. The battle was not a fight. It was an execution. Watching from afar, the galaxy trembled. They had expected chaos, panic, desperation. Instead, they saw perfect discipline. Humanity did not shout, did not rage, did not celebrate. They fought with silence, every movement calm and deliberate, as if this war had been practiced 1,000 times before. High Lord Zith refused to accept defeat. His flagship surged forward, a mountain of steel and fire. He screamed across the comms, "They cannot stop us all! Press forward, crush them!" But when his ship faced the lead human dreadnought, the truth became clear. The human vessel dwarfed even his flagship. Its hull gleamed with power, its weapons hummed with energy that shook space itself. The dreadnought fired once, just once. Zith's flagship split apart, torn into fragments by a weapon the galaxy had no name for. His last scream vanished in static. The Valar fleet broke. Some tried to flee, others surrendered in panic. But humanity gave no chase. They did not fire on the retreating ships. They did not mock or boast. They simply held their ground, silent and unmoved. The message was clear. We will fight only when you arrive, and when you do, we will be ready. When the battle ended, the stars grew quiet again. Human ships remained in perfect formation, engines glowing faintly as if daring anyone else to step forward. The wreckage of the Valar fleet drifted in silence, a warning written in fire and steel. Across the galaxy, leaders shook with fear. The warning had been true. Humanity was not bluffing. They had built fleets strong enough to destroy ancient empires. They had planned for this day, and they had waited with patience colder than ice. The galaxy now faced a choice. Who would dare test them again? And what would happen when humanity finally decided not to wait anymore? The warning had become prophecy, and the first encounter had proved it. The destruction of the Valar fleet should have ended the matter. Any normal empire would have retreated, rebuilt, and hidden in shame. But the galaxy was not normal anymore. Humanity's first victory was like a spark falling into dry fields. It spread panic, fear, and reckless pride. The Valar Dominion screamed for revenge. Their allies, too proud to admit weakness, rallied to their side. Soon, what began as one fleet turned into a coalition of empires. Hundreds of thousands of ships gathered at the edge of human space. It was the largest armada the galaxy had seen in centuries. Entire worlds emptied their shipyards, sending every vessel that could fight. Leaders stood before their people and promised a swift end to humanity's arrogance. "We will crush them with numbers," they swore. But numbers meant nothing against silence. Inside human space, the fleets did not move. They did not rush to meet the invasion. Instead, they waited, as if daring the galaxy to step across the line. Human admirals sat in the dark bridges of their warships, calm and steady, eyes fixed on the stars. Their people watched from fortified colonies, not with fear, but with quiet expectation. Humanity was not preparing for survival. They were preparing for demonstration. When the coalition armada entered human territory, the trap closed. The first wave of alien ships advanced with confidence, their cannons lighting the void. They expected human fleets to scatter, to crumble under the sheer weight of firepower. Instead, human dreadnoughts emerged from the darkness, not in dozens, but in hundreds. They rose like black towers, their hulls shining with cold blue light, their weapons humming with power no alien engineer could understand. The sky erupted. Human weapons fired not in chaos but in perfect unison. Every beam, every missile, every blast struck where it mattered most. Enemy shields fell like paper. Engines burned out, flagships cracked apart. Alien admirals screamed orders, but their voices drowned under the storm. The battle became a massacre. And then, humanity revealed something worse. The first super dreadnoughts entered the field. They were vast, larger than cities, their forms blotting out stars. Each one carried enough firepower to erase fleets on its own. Alien commanders watched in horror as one of these titans unleashed a single shot that tore through 5 enemy ships in a line, slicing them apart as though space itself had turned against them. Coalition forces tried to retreat, but human ships cut off every escape. Smaller destroyers moved like predators, darting through enemy formations, breaking them apart with surgical strikes. Human carriers released swarms of drones, tiny machines moving faster than the eye could follow, tearing holes into ships and then vanishing before counterfire could touch them. The galaxy had seen wars before, but never like this. This was not the chaos of clashing empires. This was precision, this was inevitability. It was as if humanity had written the script of the battle long before it began, and now they were simply performing it. Across the stars, billions watched the live feeds in silence. No one cheered. No one spoke. The sight was too terrifying. Armadas that had ruled space for centuries crumbled in hours, reduced to wreckage drifting like ash in the void. The coalition leaders, once so proud, now begged for retreat. Their voices cracked with fear. Fall back. Fall back. But retreat was no longer an option. Human ships surrounded them, tightening the circle. Yet, to the galaxy's shock, humanity did not slaughter them all. When the battle reached its peak, when the coalition was broken beyond repair, the human fleet stopped. Their weapons fell silent. Their ships held position motionless like statues in the dark. Survivors drifted in shattered vessels expecting death. But death never came. Instead, a single human voice echoed across every channel. Calm. Steady. Cold. You were warned once, we are ready, do not come again. And then the human fleets withdrew, leaving the wreckage behind. The galaxy froze in awe. Never before had a species fought with such control. They had destroyed the largest armada in living memory, and yet they had chosen to let survivors live. It was not mercy. It was a message. Humanity had no need to finish them. The warning had been proved, and that was enough. From that day forward, the galaxy spoke of the battle in whispers. It was not called a war. It was called a lesson written in fire and silence. For the first time in history, the galaxy no longer feared who held the most ships or who ruled the greatest empire. They feared one thing alone: humanity's patience. Because patience meant they were still waiting, still preparing, still ready. And the galaxy knew, if anyone ever ignored the warning again, the next battle would not end with survivors. The battle ended, but its echoes stretched across the galaxy like thunder after lightning. The wreckage of thousands of alien ships drifted silently in the void, a graveyard that told the story better than any words. The coalition armada, once proud, once unstoppable, was gone. The few survivors limped back across the stars, their ships broken, their spirits crushed. No second battle followed. Humanity did not chase. They did not conquer new worlds. They did not claim trophies or burn cities. Their fleets simply returned to their space, silent as shadows, leaving behind nothing but wreckage and fear. That silence became louder than any victory cry. In alien capitals, leaders faced their people with pale faces and trembling voices. The truth could not be hidden. The entire galaxy had seen the destruction lave. Citizens who once mocked humanity now whispered their name with dread. Markets collapsed, empires quarreled, and alliances cracked. Some demanded another war, but their voices were drowned by fear. Others demanded peace, but no one dared to send envoys. For who could negotiate with a species that had spoken only once and then proved their words with fire? Across the galaxy, scholars and historians rewrote their books. For centuries, they had told the story of how the elder races ruled the stars, how their empires shaped destiny. But now those stories ended with one sentence. Then came humanity, and everything changed. On border worlds, civilians stared at the skies, expecting black human warships to appear at any moment. Parents told their children to be quiet, to stay indoors, as if silence might keep the humans away. Merchants changed their routes, avoiding even the edges of human space. The void around Earth became a forbidden zone, not because humanity closed it, but because fear closed it for them. Meanwhile, within human space, life went on with steady calm. Colonies rebuilt what little was damaged. Factories kept working. Shipyards kept producing. There were no celebrations, no parades, no songs of victory. Humanity did not see it as victory. For them, it had only been a test. They had waited for the galaxy to come, and when it came, they answered. Nothing more. This was what terrified the galaxy most. Humanity had not fought out of rage or survival. They had fought with cold patience, as if war was simply another task on a long list. Their warning had not been a threat. It had been a truth that no empire could deny anymore. Some small species began to whisper new ideas in secret. They spoke of humanity not as monsters, but as protectors. If humanity could destroy great empires, perhaps they could also shield the weak. These whispers grew, passing from colony to colony. But no one dared to say them too loudly, afraid the galaxy's old powers would silence them. In the Great Council, silence ruled. The seats once filled with shouting voices were now heavy with dread. Every attempt to unite against Earth collapsed in fear. No one wanted to risk being the next example. The coalition had been the strongest unity of empires in living memory, and it had been shattered in hours. If that was the fate of the strong, what chance did anyone else have? And so, the galaxy fell into uneasy quiet. Armadas stayed docked. Fleets patrolled their own borders, too afraid to move forward. For the first time in centuries, the stars saw no wars between empires. The warning had done more than protect humanity. It had forced the galaxy into stillness. But inside that stillness, fear grew deeper, because no one knew what humanity wanted next. They had spoken only once. They had acted only when provoked. But what if they chose to move again? What if they sent a second message, not of warning, but of command? Would the galaxy have any choice but to obey? In the ruins of the coalition's pride, a saying began to spread, whispered first in secret, then spoken openly. The galaxy belongs not to the oldest, but to the most prepared. And everyone knew who that meant. The stars had changed. The balance of power had ended. Humanity had taken no throne, but still, all eyes turned to Earth. Because they had given one warning, and one was enough. In the deep silence after the storm, the galaxy understood the truth. Humanity was not just another species. Humanity was the shadow waiting at the edge of every empire's vision, the unspoken weight behind every decision. They had been tested and they had answered, and now no one would ever dare again. They received only one warning: we are ready for your arrival. The words burned forever into history, carved in the memory of the stars.